What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. Today I want to talk about two things. Number one being that it's official now, as of like right now today, the 2018 Chevy Silverado truck build that you see behind me is done, finished, finito. Not doing anything else to this truck. And then number two being why I think the way this truck sits right now, minus not having tow mirrors, because I love this truck with tow mirrors, but I want to explain to you guys why I feel like the way this truck sits right now, why it is the perfect truck for a half-ton 1500 daily driver. Alright, so first thing is first, the truck build is done, it's over, it's finished, just for one reason, and that one reason being that we're going to be getting rid of this truck and getting another one for the channel, for my personal life, for everything. And I'll go into way more details on that in the next video, because that next video is going to be exactly why I'm getting rid of this and what we're going to be getting next. So stay tuned for that one. But yeah, the truck build's done. We're not putting anything more onto it just because we're getting a new truck. What will be happening to this one though is we're going to be taking it back from its form currently. We're going to be taking it back to its stock look to trade in. So wheels and tires definitely come off, lift will probably come off, a bunch of accessories will probably come off, and will probably be available for sale on my Instagram. So at j_wargo, follow me there if you do want anything potentially from this truck when we start taking it back apart. But yeah, stay tuned for next week's video, because that's what it's going to be all about, why we're getting rid of this and what we're going to be buying next. So the main purpose, the main reason for this video, the main content for this video is me explaining why, in my opinion, I think that this build, this setup right here behind me, is the perfect build, the perfect setup for the everyday average Joe, Jim, George, Sally, whatever your name may be. Because when I bought this truck a little over 2 years ago, I never ever had the intentions of keeping it forever. And so I didn't want to blow tons of money making this into a SEMA truck, spending 20, 30, 40. I mean, most people on SEMA probably spend way more than that. I wanted to build this pretty economical, pretty cheap, and I wanted to show you guys that it doesn't take a whole lot of money to build something that looks, in my opinion, pretty badass. So basically that's what I want to talk about, like why I did what I did and why I think it is the perfect everyday setup for the average Joe that's kind of on a budget, that kind of has a family to support, that has other obligations, that can't be spending 40 grand on accessories after you buy a truck. So yeah, let's talk about that. Alright, so small stuff doesn't count. Removing decals, making badges black that they weren't, you know, turning these orange or yellow bow ties black, stuff like that does not count. Like the pillar wrap tint, that stuff doesn't count at all. It's cheap, it's easy, everybody can do it, it's family friendly, whatever. In my opinion, the biggest thing that makes a vehicle look a hell of a lot different is wheels and tires. Wheels and tires is huge, and so what we did on this build, we didn't go anything crazy. We went with a 33 by 1250 for this. They fit the Silverados, they fit F-150s fine, they fit Ram 1500s fine. Now they do rub on these trucks, they do rub on the square wheel well Chevy and GMCs right here, which I did a couple videos on. I'll link them up in the top corner. But we went with a pretty relatively, it's not that big of a tire in today's standards. Like Jeeps come with 33 standard, new Ram Rebels come with 33 standard, so we didn't go crazy big. Like what came on this truck was like a 285/75 or something like that. Like legit 32 inches from the factory. We literally didn't go too much bigger. We went with the 33, and we went with the 20 by 12 wheel. And most of these trucks come with 20s anyways from the factory, so really isn't anything too crazy about the wheel and tire setup on this. It's not much bigger than stock. It really didn't cost a whole lot. So if you buy wheels and tires separately, it probably does cost a lot more money than what I spent. Like you go on custom offsets, or I bought these on Extreme Customs. I built this entire wheel and package deal for like 1,800 bucks. It's kind of pricey, but it's really not, considering, you know, the whole game right now does like American Forces or Fuel Force, stuff like that, that costs 4 or 5 grand just for wheels. So overall, tires and wheels cost less than 2 grand. So I think that's pretty good right there. Also, a wheel and tire setup like this doesn't really affect like fuel mileage too much. Now, these half-ton naturally aspirated trucks, if you go up to 35s or 37s or whatever, it really slow these guys down. But realistically, this setup here, wheels and tires, the poke isn't crazy. I've never gotten fined or anything for the poke. I have been warned by a police officer, but I never got fined for it. A little setup like this, it dropped my fuel mileage maybe like 2 miles a gallon. So I still get 16, 18 miles a gallon city and highway like combined with this. So it ain't anything too crazy at all. They're not too crazy heavy or nothing like that. So that's why I went with a 33 1250 on a 20-inch wheel. Next would be the lift setup. Now, you'll see I got some aftermarket upper control arms there from MotoFab. Those are pricey, but I got them for free. Shout out to MotoFab. But realistically, this truck stock, I took it and put a 2.5-inch MotoFab leveling kit up front. It cost me $90, that's it. I did do the install myself. I'm not sure what a shop would charge. But then in the rear, we did MotoFab lift blocks, which you're not going to be able to see, but those were also only 90 bucks. So I got the front lifted 2.5 inches, the rear lifted 2 inches, and it cost me less than $200 in parts and free labor, but I think that's pretty good. It doesn't make this truck crazy huge that people can't get into. It doesn't make it crazy huge that it affects fuel mileage. It's a nice daily driver setup, and it still uses the factory struts, so you have the same ride quality that I bought this truck with when it was completely factory. Now, I did end up doing upper control arms, but I didn't do that because of necessity. I did that because I got a little sponsorship deal from them, and I do think it did help the quality a little bit, like ride quality, having everything stretched out with the level. So it definitely brought that quality back, but that's something that isn't even necessary. And then, like, legit, the only thing we did under the hood or anything performance-wise would be a cooled air intake. That's a K&N 63 series cooled air intake, which was less than 300 bucks. I think like $275. Gave the truck a nice little roar, improved fuel economy by about 1 mile per gallon. I have a video for that. I'll link that up in the corner as well. It made the pedal lag a lot less, if you will. Like, it made the pedal a little bit more responsive. And then to pair with the cooled air intake is a 3-inch MBRP catback exhaust. It costs like 250 bucks, like nothing crazy. I didn't want to go with a cat. I didn't want to go with like anything crazy expensive. I think these trucks sound phenomenal if you do headers and a straight pipe with a cam. These things lope like crazy. They're nice, but that's also like, I don't know, 2 grand, 2,500 bucks. So it's super cheap setup, and it sounds really good, and it's perfect for daily driving. Everybody wanted me to go with a Corsa or a Borla, spend $900 to $1,000 on an exhaust, but then it'd also be super crazy loud. This little cheap exhaust, it sounds good when you start it up. It sounds good when you're wide open throttle, when you hammer it, but if you're just cruising down the highway, you can't hear it. There's no drone in the cab, no nothing. So for daily driving, I think it's a perfect setup, honestly. And then, like, legit, that's it. That's for the most part what I did to make this truck look different than what I bought it. Wheels, tires, economy lift, if you will, a bolt-on cooled air intake, and a cheap exhaust. And I mean, obviously other small things, like I did spiked lug nuts and tinted the rear tail lights and third brake lights, and I did all new bulbs upgrade, LED bulbs everywhere, and like a bunch of stupid stuff like antennas and whatever. But AFM delete, all that stuff doesn't even matter, because it doesn't do what I'm telling you about. It doesn't do what I'm like trying to prove my point. That's legit like all I did to set this thing apart from what it looked like before to what it does now. It's super cheap, super reliable, not like messing with any major components that's gonna make this thing not like good for daily driving. I can't talk, I'm sorry. I haven't uploaded the video in over a month, so that's why like I'm talking like crazy and out of breath, and it's just nuts. But like, that's it. Simple, sweet, short, to the point. I think this is the perfect setup for daily driving. I'd love to have this thing lifted 6 inches, 8 inches, but it's not gonna make it like, it doesn't make it, I don't know. I think once you start really messing with stuff is when you start lowering that daily drivable factor. Crazy lift, super big tires, crazy bolt-ons. It'd make this thing unreliable, I think. I don't know, I'm gonna stop talking because I'm going crazy. All my friends are gonna make fun of me watching this video, I'm sure. But that's it. I just wanted to come out here finally. The build's done, it's over, and that's exactly why I think this is the perfect daily driver setup. It's good. It's 4-wheel drive. It's a half ton. It gets great fuel mileage, and small cheap mods made it to be what it is today. So I want to stop talking since I can't talk anyways. Check out Motivated merch if you haven't. We got new stuff dropping here in the fall. And like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe, join the family, join this build. And definitely stay tuned because we're going to be introducing a new build soon. I think y'all are going to be happy with that. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace.